If you're a travel influencer or someone who is looking to get into the travel influencing niche, then chances are you're going to be pitching to tourism boards. And as someone who has worked on the tourism board side, on the press trip side, paying creators for influence and content, I want to go over different things that tourism boards look for when deciding the creators that they want to work with. Now, like I said, I have that brand side experience, you guys, but I also have a community of travel creators and creators in all different niches that I work with day in and day out. And what I'm going to go over in today's video is experience that I have professionally, but also knowing just from some of my closest travel friends that get paid crazy amounts by tourism boards, that these are kind of the attributes and the things that tourism boards are looking for. Now, when I do this video, I'm going to be going back and forth between influencer and content creator because they are different, right? A tourism board may want to work with you for your audience, for your influence, or they may want to work with you for the content that you have created, or both, right? So I'll be giving different things that tourism boards are looking for, and I'll do my best to try to specify if it's influencer or content creator based. So the first thing is, if you are pitching influence or your community and you're saying, hey, tourism board, you know, I got people, they come to me, they trust me, they like me, these are my humans, then one thing that is really, really important is the target audience, demographically speaking. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's just say you are pitching to a tourism board in the Caribbean, and you are an influencer in Europe, and there are no direct flights to your destination. The city that you're from in Europe does not bring a lot of travelers to this destination in the Caribbean. You could have 1 million+ followers, but it's not the right fit, right? From an audience perspective, that audience doesn't make sense. Now, if you are a smaller creator, let's just say in Miami, where there are direct flights to the Bahamas in under an hour, you probably have a better shot when it comes to pitching because there is that audience alignment. It makes sense from an audience perspective. Now, outside of demographics, there can be other attributes, right, of your audience that could make it a really good push. So let me give you another example. Let's just say this tourism board is really looking to attract foodies. There is a huge food scene in the destination. They have lots of culinary events. So now you may be pitching and you may not be from, you know, a target city per se, but you have exactly the type of human they're looking to bring in. And that's going to give you a heads up in your pitch. So it doesn't always have to be location based. Obviously that's going to help, but there can be other attributes of your audience that get you in. Recently, there was a tourism board we were consulting for. They were looking for adventure travelers because the country had so many adventurous things to do. So again, if you are coming in and you're pitching, hey, I got a bunch of people that follow me for adventure, that's going to get you in the door because you have that alignment with what the destination is looking to promote. Now, if you are pitching influence, remember, we're not pitching content here, we're pitching influence. We're saying, hey, tourism board, I got these people. Then they are going to look into metrics like reach, as well as engagement, as well as just brand loyalty, shareability of the content, saves of the content, conversions, you know, things of that nature. Now, again, because you're coming in the door and you're saying, I got these people, they like me, you know, they are going to click when I say here, click. So they are going to look into this data. And most of the times creators get really stuck on things like engagement rate and follower. But remember, if you have a metric that works for you, that is amazing. Like recently I had a TikToker, we were looking at her TikTok account and we saw all her shares. We're like, oh my gosh, your content's so shareable. Like we need to include that. So sometimes it's not always the metrics that you know. So you have to dig a little bit deeper into your insights and look at that information, because again, that is going to help you get over the finish line if you are pitching a tourism board for your influence. Now, if you actually want to get into your insights and want me to help you, I suggest coming to our next free live training on how to land paid brand deals. We talk about how to get into your insights and we literally look at pitches. A lot of them are travel based. So if that's something that you're interested in learning about, you want to start outreaching tourism boards, come to my next free live training so that you can come and learn more. Okay, so let's jump over to the content creator side for a second for tip number 3. If you are pitching to a tourism board content, so you're saying, hey, tourism board, don't worry about my follower counts, don't worry about my engagement rate, this is the content that I can produce for your team, then this is where they are going to want to see your content styles. Now, notice that I don't always say high quality content because yes, there are instances that tourism boards want that high quality, beautiful content that they could use at a trade show, that they could use on a billboard or some sort of marketing. But then there's also content that the tourism board could use on their socials, right? or even blog content. That's considered content. We had a tourism board recently pay one of our creators to write a blog post for them. So when we talk about high quality, I think it's more about just the quality the content is delivering to the partner. I know I have some creators that do really awesome informational style videos. And a lot of times, especially here on YouTube, like those informational style videos may not have tons of subscribers, but they get a lot of views because the content is very helpful. So if you are pitching content, you want to make sure that the quality of the content that you're bringing to the table is something that would excite the tourism board, right? Now, it doesn't have to be one style, but what's your unique perspective? Like, how do you tell a story? How do you share content? Is it different than what other people are doing? I think that these are the unique storytelling ability, that unique content concept that you bring to the table can make all the difference when pitching in tourism boards, because that's what they're looking for. They want to see what's the content that, you can bring to the table. And if you guys are liking this video so far and you're interested in this like brand side perspective and you want to pitch to hotels and you want to pitch to tourism boards and this is exciting for you, make sure you like this video. Go ahead, like it right now. It tells me and my team to keep making these types of videos for you guys, especially when it comes to all things travel influencing. Now, whether you're influencer or creator, I know tourism boards, they want to look for that storytelling ability, that authentic storytelling capacity. How does the content flow? Does it feel authentic? Does it feel staged or supernatural? I think tourism boards a lot of the times want to feature the content that they pay creators for on their pages as well. So they want to make sure that it hooks the audience as well as delivers a strong message. As a travel influencer, so much of what you're doing is storytelling a destination and sharing how, the ins and outs. One of the creators we love and are friends with, Alona, she has a very journalistic approach to storytelling, and she really takes you on the inside of different places in the world and comes at it from this journalist kind of perspective. And I think she does a really great job. And then on the other side, you could have other creators who have a different perspective and a totally different point of view of how they tell the content. But one thing is important when it comes to a tourism board, to understand that these are government entities. They're paid by tax dollars. So when a tourism board is looking at a creator, they're probably going to want to go with less risky creators, oftentimes, because again, it represents the country who they're deciding to pay or work with or put on a press trip. So oftentimes when you do have that unique storytelling, or you do have that content that you are selling or pitching to a partner, remember that these are big government organizations most of the times. They are, like I said, through tax dollars, so they're going to want to play it safe. Now, tip number 5, something that recently a creator I work with just got a no from a tourism board because of this, was lack of consistency. They saw that she did not post often. They're like, where have you been? There was a big gap in your content. It kind of reminds me of those days when you look at someone's resume and you're like, there's a gap in your resume. What were you doing? That lack of consistency in her page ended up costing her the job. So believe it or not, tourism boards are looking to see if you are consistent in your content and your posting schedule, because they want to make sure that they're also working with someone who's doing this full time, or at least professionally. You don't have to be a full-time creator to work with a tourism board, but they want to feel like this is something you're serious about, versus oh, this is just some random person that likes to travel. There's a lot of people that love travel, right? But who are we going to work with? I think it comes down to that consistent work ethic. Another thing tourism boards look at is a creator's authority and their credibility. So for example, have you been featured in other press outlets? Have you worked with other tourism boards? I was working with one of my one-on-one clients recently, and in the pitch, we were pitching tourism boards and we name dropped other tourism boards that we worked with. Of course, that got that tourism board's attention, because they're like, oh, you worked with so-and-so, so therefore, you must be someone that is actively doing this. Okay, we want to hear what you got to say, right? So there is some authority. If you do have past experience, you want to make sure you lean on that to show those tourism boards your past work. Even if you've done a press trip before with a tourism board or a local city, leaning in that past press trip experience also shows that you were credible and that you've been doing this. Now, if you are a creator that is going on press trips, and if you're not familiar what a press trip is, I'll just quickly define it. Basically, when a tourism board puts either a group together or solo trips for creators, media. It used to be really just for media, and they would pay and send you to the destination. Now we see paid press trips. Before, they used to just be for travel accommodations only. And literally you would just go on a 3 or 4, maybe 5-night trip paid by the tourism board, and then you would report on it, right? So if you are a creator that's pitching to tourism boards, you may end up getting some press trips, at least in the beginning. If you are getting on press trips, I highly recommend you download our free press trip etiquette guide. It's, like I said, free, and it's going to help you play that role. It's an etiquette guide, which I know feels a little outdated, but I want you guys to be professional and I want you guys to show up right. So if you are looking to go on press trips, or if you're actively going on press trips, download this freebie. I'll leave the link below. Now, something I know that a lot of PR people that are on the tourism board side, we're just we look at this. We just do things like professionalism and emails, reliability, how responsive you are. Literally, this girl the other day sent a pitch to a colleague and it said LMK, let me know. And I know that's young and hip, but you have to understand that this is a job. It's literally work. And I don't think it's kind of appropriate for some, and maybe you don't know who you're sending it to, right? If I got that email, maybe I wouldn't care as much, but someone else may be LMK, what does that even mean? Again, someone may be older, or someone that doesn't want to see those type of emails. It doesn't feel professional, put it that way. So little things like that we look for in our creators. Sometimes I've worked with smaller creators. I remember this girl, oh my God, I did my first press trip with. She sent me an Excel sheet with all the content she did and links. I was literally blown away. I was well, what? I've never seen someone so professional. And she was actually the smallest creator on the trip, but she stood out. I still remember who she is, and I would still give her work. So sometimes being just extra professional, extra reliable, responsive, all of those things, it just makes you easier to want to work with. It just taps into trustworthiness. Psychologically, I'm oh, okay, I can work with them, even if, they are smaller. Now, interestingly enough, brand alignment is also something that tourism boards look at. Let me give you a perfect example. Let's just say you were talking to a country who is very eco-friendly, sustainable, talking about really great environmental causes and natural eating. And then you come into the table and you're a partner with maybe an energy drink or something that does not fit. You're a big ambassador for a brand that is not a fit with the country's brand alignment. I know it feels weird, but your sponsorships affect you. And that's why I've talked about that a lot on this channel. Who you sponsor with also affects, some of your work. And that's just kind of the name of the game. But again, government agencies, tourism boards, they want to be in alignment. They want to work with creators who they feel align with their values and their missions. So if you've gone on, I don't know, intense, maybe political rants or just talking about anything in some sort of you may not be safe. I know that feels a weird thing to say, but if you are someone who gets online and calls other people out, or again, that may be your brand and that may work really well for you. And there may be other opportunities and other brands that want to align with you because they love that you're a risk taker. But I find for the tourism board side, it's a little risky. And again, you're coming in from the government, they're bringing you in. So brand alignment is very important. So that kind of leans into the positive reputation, which is something that obviously we're going to look at and vet. We're going to see if you come up on any alerts or names or Google you. You want to be a creator that has minimal controversies, again, because you are pitching to a government entity. So reputation does matter. Also, cultural sensitivity, how do you talk about, other people, other ways of life? Do you come in and make fun, or are you someone who is very inclusive and speaks, in this way that is accepting? Again, those are things that these tourism boards are going to look at when vetting you, because ultimately respect for local traditions and having that cultural sensitivity is part of being a travel influencer. So they want to make sure that is reflected in your work. Like I mentioned before, I do think your ongoing collaborations also help. If you worked with other tourism boards or other brands in general, that can be something that we also look at, because it kind of is okay, well, this brand vetted you and they think you're good and we align with this brand, then you must be good. So that's something that I think also tourism boards look at. They'll look at your authenticity, just kind of how you present online. Are you trustworthy? Does your audience really feel that loyal connection to you? Funny enough, a lot of the influencers that I have ended up putting on trips are influencers I follow myself. As a person, I'm oh my gosh, I like that person. I feel like they tell really great stories, or I love their content. And then when I'm working with a client, I pitch them. I'm hey, they're the first people I'm going to pitch because I'm already a follower of them, so to speak, and I love their content. So I have found that that's something that, you know, whether you're a brand or a tourism board, you're going to look at is that authenticity and that trustworthiness that you have with that creator. So, all right, guys, I hope this video has helped you out and kind of given you an insider look at what tourism boards look for in creators. Like I said, it's not always influence. It can absolutely be content. I have so many creators that I have personally worked with that are selling content to tourism boards. They're licensing content. They're creating videos for them, right? That are helpful videos. I recently had an influencer do a guide on the tourism board's website, right? So there's itineraries. I've seen creators do itineraries. So again, if you are a creator that wants to learn more about travel influencing in general, working with tourism boards, pitching travel, make sure you like this video. It tells me that I need to keep making videos like this for y'all. So keep liking these videos and I will see you guys in the next video.